What's up, guys? It's your boy Big Dave, and I'm going to be predicting UFC Fight Night, Aaron Blanchfield versus Macy Barber in the fabulous, beautiful, distinguished UFC Apex. We're going to start. First of all, I'm going to go through this really fast. I'm not that pumped on this card. But we're going to start with the first fight of the night, Rayan Dos Santos versus Alice Ardeline. I'm going to go Rayan Dos Santos. I actually kind of like her style. She's more of a pressure style kickboxer, mostly a boxer. She has these weird things where she can't really cut the cage. I feel like her last fight, she was fighting a southpaw, and it felt like her coaches, the only thing they told her about fighting a southpaw was to take the outside foot. So the whole fight, where she spends a large portion of the fight just kind of following the girl around. And you can argue that she won that fight. I feel like when she actually when she actually let go with some combinations and got in position, she was pretty good. At least Ardeline, I can't even break down her style. I couldn't even get through the fights, to be honest. But I'm going to go Rayan Dos Santos. I'm going to just go by unanimous decision. Moving up, we got Marquel Medeiros versus Balaji. Now, this is an interesting one because Balaji is coming off. I think, did he fight after that Chris Duncan? No, I think that's the last fight. He got guillotined by Chris Duncan, which is he's pretty new in his career. So I think that could just be a learning experience. Because I think he could have just stayed on the feet and probably had a better chance of that fight, but his insistence on mixing it up, which I always like, but he didn't quite set it up in the way to keep himself safe. Marquel Medeiros, he's well-rounded as well. He's a good athlete. I thought he lost his last fight, but I have to go back and watch it. I was kind of half-assed watching it. I think he fought Austin Hubbard. But I think Hubbard kind of blew it by taking him down and just trying to hold him and not doing enough damage. But Marquel Medeiros, he has good movement on the outside. He's got some good okay striking. He's not the most devastating type striker, but he's athletic. He'll move. He's got some decent takedown defense. I'm gonna go Balaji Oki though. I think he'll convince the judges he's winning. I think he'll land the bigger shots, quote unquote, and I feel like if he can just pressure Medeiros, and Medeiros, he can look a little flustered on the back foot, I think he's got a good chance of getting this and possibly controlling Medeiros for portions of the fight if it gets risky. But I think Medeiros is more live to hurt Oki, but I'm going to pick Balaji Oki. I'm going to pick by unanimous decision. Moving up, Jordan Leavitt versus Kurt Holobaugh. Now, Jordan Leavitt, we already know he's a grappler. That's basically his whole game. Thick guy for the division, strong guy for the division. Will beat you and then twerk on you and do the splits and all this shit. And Kurt Holobaugh is a boxer. That's pretty much all he is. But a great boxer, really aggressive, really tough, really determined. Hard hitting. He looks like he hits hard. And this is going to be interesting because Kurt Holobaugh is going to put pressure on Jordan Leavitt. Jordan Leavitt's going to try to kick him and then shoot off of the back foot because Kurt Holobaugh typically doesn't back up unless Jordan Leavitt comes out there and just puts it on him instantly. But Kurt Hollobaugh's pretty smart. He knows what his tools are. He knows what he's best at, and he'll fucking insist on forcing that fight. The only thing I worry about with Kurt Holobaugh is he has a tendency. It's weird, he'll batter people and put hands on them, but as soon as they're against the cage, instead of standing there and just lighting them up, he'll shoot. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's just what he's trained to do, but man, if he engages in some grappling with Jordan Leavitt, it could get bad for him. He's been submitted a couple times. I remember he rocked Shane Burgos and then got armbarred by Shane Burgos, and I think that might be one of the only submissions he has on his whole career. So that's not a good sign, but it's been a minute since he's been subbed. I'm gonna pick Kurt Holobaugh. I think Leavitt I just don't think he's got. I don't know if he can finish Kurt Holloway, and I don't know how he's gonna do with 3 rounds of Kurt Holloway just being a fucking workhorse and just throwing hard shots. He'll go to the body. He can take a good punch. Yeah, I'm gonna trust Kurt Holloway, but he is the underdog here at plus 130. But yeah, I'm gonna go Kurt Holloway, and I'm gonna go by decision. Picking a lot of decisions. Moving up, Oban Elliott versus Ramiz Brahimaj. I got Oban Elliott here, although he shouldn't be a minus 480 favorite. He's really good. He has some tendencies that could get him hurt, but I don't think Brahimaj is the one to hurt him. You know, you could see in the last fight versus Basel Hafez, if he had more dexterous kicks, he could have caught Oban plenty of times, because Oban dips super low to get out of shots, and he'll just weave his head way out of punches, and he can be set up, but he's very fast, and he's very athletic, and he's very tall for the division. Not very tall, but he's a good size for the division. Ramiz Brahimaj, and I should just break it down. Oban Elliott, he's a striker, but he's also well-rounded. He will time some really nice double legs. I don't think that's going to come into play with here, because Brahimaj he's a serviceable grappler. He's got good power on the feet. You know, his last fight versus Mickey Gall, he just finally was able to hurt someone and put him away in the UFC. You know, he's had a tough run. His ear fucking fell off at one point. So maybe he's got some momentum, but his style looked very similar to Basel Hafez, just with a little bit more craft and a little bit more pressure, a little faster. But I think Oban Elliott's going to be able to not get caught. This is a tough one, though. I think Brahimaj is a live underdog. He should not be a plus 360 underdog. But I'm still going to go Oban Elliott, and I'm actually going to go by second round TKO. I think Ramiz is doing good, and I think Ramiz gets frustrated, or not gets frustrated, but I think he just runs into something at some point and goes down. So I'm going to go Oban Elliott, keeping the space, landing some good counter shots, initiating the clinch when he has to, not getting caught up against the fence, and not just trying to stand there in front of him in exchange. So I'm going to go Oban Elliott, probably like a counter right hand in the second round. Moving up, Ketlen Vieira versus Macy Chiasson. I'm going to go Macy Chiasson. You know, man, she's tough, and she's pretty good. She's like, you know, Machine Gun Kelly, obviously, we all know that. But she's got some good movement on the feet. She's tall. She seems to be getting stronger. You can't just, like, force her down and control her. And I think she's going to have a speed advantage over Ketlen Vieira. I just worry about the power of Ketlen Vieira, and if she's going to be able to, if that's going to make the difference. Because a lot of time in these, you know, women's fights, the girl with the most power she just has that X factor, you know. But I'm going to pick Macy Chiasson. I think she's going to make this a really frustrating fight for Vieira, using the clinch, using little low kicks, couple punches here and there, clinch, punches, takedown attempts. I think she's more well-rounded. So I'm going to pick Macy Chiasson by decision, but it could be a split decision, depending on how this goes. And she's the plus 100 underdog. And Ketlen Vieira is minus 125. Have I even said the odds? I don't think so. Moving up, Andreas Gustafsson versus Jeremiah Well. This is probably going to be fight of the night or knockout of the night. Andreas Gustafsson is a marauder. He's a marauder, you know. He likes to put pressure on guys. That's his only game, is to put you in the clinch and just beat you up and wear on you and exhaust you. His striking is very sloppy. He kind of comes into the space and then stops with his head right there. But he's pretty good at timing shots and entering into the clinch and pushing people up against the fence. But if he can't control you against the fence, it's going to be a tough time for him, because his striking is not great. But he's very fucking tough. He had a war with some dude on the regional scene, and it's a crazy fight. Just type in Andreas Gustafsson and look for the most viewed video, and that's what it is. And Jeremiah Wells, you know, very explosive guy, very bad striking technique. Bad as in, you know, you would never teach someone to strike like him. But he's very his upper body is fucking gigantic, and he's got huge fucking arms, and he's very strong and explosive. So he can just swing for like fucking knockouts, and sometimes he can get them. You know, he gets them actually more than he doesn't. His last fight with Max Griffin, he just kind of got outboxed and out-jabbed on the feet, which isn't going to be a problem with Gustafsson. But I'm going to pick Gustafsson because I've seen him overcome some fucking bad shots. I've seen him take some fucking really brutal shots and still come back to win. And I don't think Wells is built to withstand that. I think he's more of a front runner. Either he can wipe you out and control you from the beginning of every round, or he just resorts to swinging as hard as he can, which could work. He could knock Gustafsson out cold. He's got that kind of power, but I'm going to trust Andreas Gustafsson to weather the early storm, wear out Jeremiah Wells, and eventually get a TKO. So I'm going to go Andreas Gustafsson by third round TKO. But I think a Jeremiah Wells knockout is not a bad prop. And Andreas Gustafsson is minus 150 favorite. Jeremiah Wells can be had for plus 125. So, not bad. Moving up, Alan Nascimento versus Jafal Filo. I had predicted this a long time ago. I feel like this fight's has been supposed to happen for months now. But I'm going to go Alan Nascimento. I think he's just a better version of Jafal Filo. I think Filo is more dangerous on the feet, but Alan is a kicker and he's a track star, you know what I mean? He'll throw a lot of kicks, and then he'll shoot takedowns, and his control is great. I don't think he's going to stand in front of Jafal Filo and try to trade punches with him. If he does, he could be in trouble. So I'm still going to stick with Alan Nascimento. That's who I picked a long time ago. I should have probably looked at why the fights got canceled. Maybe he got injured or something, but I'm going to pick Nascimento. I'm going to pick by decision. And he is the minus 135 favorite. Jafal Filo can be had for plus 110. So, pretty close odds. Next fight, we got Zach Reese versus Dusko Todorovic. Yeah, this one's weird because Zach Reese is not a fighter I would ever pick. He's a guy that's got all the physical attributes, but his game is silly. And he's way too confident in his game because it's gotten him fucking knocked out cold by Cody Brundage. And it's just not something that you can apply at the top level. And by that, I mean pulling guard. Yes, he's very dangerous. He's super tall, super strong, he's crafty. This is MMA, though. And you just can't be pulling guard and expecting to flying triangle people all the time. Put yourselves in a bad position. However, he's fighting Dusko Todorovic, who's a kind of like boxer kind of guy, moves his head a lot. You know, pretty decent on the feet, not anything great. He's way better when he puts it all together. So this fight could look like Dusko going in there, pressuring Zach Reese, throwing like big punches, crashing into the clinch and getting a takedown, and then being on top for the whole round. But I think I'm going to trust Zach Reese. I think his finishing potential is very high. He's a big guy, and he's a finisher. So if he wins, it'll probably be... No, he can get a decision, but I'm going to go Zach Reese. I think he's too tall. I think he can keep Dusko off of him with the kicks, and I think if it goes to the ground, I can see Dusko making a mistake. I want to pick Todorovic, but he just hasn't looked great. But Zach Reese isn't... his style is not something I like, but I'm going to trust him. So I'm going to go Zach Reese. I'm going to go third round finish, or maybe first round finish. You know, he finishes a lot of people in the first round, but I don't have a good pick on this. But I'm going to go Zach Reese. I didn't even select it on my paper. But I'm going to go Zach Reese, and yeah, I don't know how. But he's a minus 285 favorite, and Dusko Todorovic can be had for plus 230, so I might sprinkle a little something on there. Moving up, Dustin Jacoby versus Bruno Lopez. I'm going Dustin Jacoby. He's a good outside boxer, good kickboxer. He's at his best when he keeps himself off the fence and when he can get someone reacting to all his feints and all his jabs. I feel like if he can stay calm, he can pretty much outclass most people in the division on the feet. Most. There's still certain people that are going to give him problems, but you know, he's a 6'3", pretty good foot speed, having lanky guy, but not like the best power, but he can get a knockout if he catches you clean. He's actually been sitting down more on his punches lately, which I like. He's fighting Bruno Lopez, who is a pressure boxer, kickboxer, loves to put you against the cage and tee off with combinations. He's a tough guy. He's not the fastest, but he's super consistent, and he seems mentally durable. So I could give Jacoby problems if he's able to just make Jacoby feel panicked, and Jacoby never decides to step in, or when he does, it's out of desperation. And then he could probably knock Jacoby out. But I'm going to trust Dustin Jacoby to just outwork Bruno Lopez. But it could get dicey, man. Dicey. You know what I mean? He can get pressed against the cage, and if he just starts getting wailed on, or it could look like the Azamat Mirzakhanov fight where he's out striking him, but he just keeps getting caught with these big punches. But I don't think Bruno Lopez is that crafty, but I guess we'll find out. But yeah, I'm going to go Dustin Jacoby by decision. And he's the minus 155 favorite. And Bruno Lopez can be had for plus 125. Moving up, Seok Hyun Ko versus Billy Ray Goff. So Billy Ray Goff, I like his style. He's a boxer. He's a kickboxer. He's a stance switcher, pressure fighter. He likes to put pressure on you. He'll do some interesting things. He's got some good ring cutting. He'll change stances, come with wide shots to keep you from circling. But it's like he has two modes. He has defense mode and he has offense mode. When he's defensive, he'll just be moving his head, shifting, using his shoulders. But whenever he's striking, his head, not always, but his head tends to just stay there, and he's very liable to be countered with either punches or takedowns because he likes to sit down on his punches. Seok Hyun Ko is more of a well-rounded type guy. He's big for the division. He's got some good outside movement. He's got some really good takedowns. He won his Contender Series fight by just dominating the dude on the ground. Not dominating him. He didn't fucking beat his ass, but he was able to get control on him and nullify. The guy was very big and very explosive. He was able to nullify him on the feet. He's able to nullify him on the feet. But I'm going to trust Billy Ray Goff. I think the pressure and the striking ability could give Ko some problems, but I think Goff is also very counterable, especially to a guy like Seok Hyun Ko. But I'm going to go Billy Ray Goff. I just have a feeling. I like his style, so I'm kind of biased, but I think he's going to be able to just land the bigger shots, not get held down, and I think he's tough enough to not get knocked out by any counters. So I'm going to go Billy Ray Goff. I'm going to go by a decision. And you can have Billy Ray for minus 175, and Seok Hyun Ko is the plus 145 underdog. Okay, moving up, co-main event, Mateusz Gamrot versus Ludovic Klein. Mateusz Gamrot, what do we know? Southpaw, great wrestler, as in persistent wrestler. He will shoot takedown after takedown. His chain wrestling is really good. His movement's very good. His cardio is very good. He's never been knocked out. He's been hurt, but he's never been knocked out, so his chin's good. But he's very one-dimensional. Although I will say I thought he beat Dan Hooker. Even though I picked Dan Hooker to win that fight, you can go check the receipts. I picked Dan Hooker to win that fight by decision, made me some money, by the way. But I thought Gamrot won that. I thought he was landing the better strikes on the feet for the most part. But I thought the reason he looks like he loses a lot of these fights is because he desperately shoots for takedowns, and it never looks good when a guy's getting pressured back and he just dives on his knees and then the guy sprawls it and then he gets back up and starts running away. It's just not a good look visually. But I don't think that's something that Gamrot can change. And Ludovic Klein, he is a kickboxer. He's a very low output kickboxer, fucking deadly southpaw, very fast, very athletic, and he's finally coming into his prime. Really good takedown defense as well. The only way we've really seen him have trouble is when people can pressure him, and then his cardio kind of starts going away. Like Nate Landwehr was able to break him, which is crazy. I mean, it's not crazy because Nate's a beast, but you look at that fight and you look at them weighing in and standing next to each other, and you're like, there's just no way Klein's going to lose. But Yeah, man, he's way scarier looking than I think he can actually be effective in the octagon. And I think his style is going to give Gamrot a lot of problems. I think he's fat. This is going to be like the Fiziev fight, but I don't think Gamrot's going to be able to pull this out. I think Gamrot can do good with the 1-2 coming down the middle, and if he can keep the pace up, he can break Klein. But I just have this feeling that Klein is in the position right now to where he's going to be very difficult to beat in that way. I don't think Gamrot's going to break him. I don't think Klein's going to knock him out, but I think Klein can keep it standing for large portions, land good kicks, maybe land one punch every now and then. I don't see a great fight. I see a lot of Gamrot takedowns and a lot of Klein standing there twitching and throwing a head kick and not looking that scary. But I'm going to go Ludovic Klein by close decision, but to be honest, I could see this going either way. And Klein is a plus 120 underdog, and Mateusz Gamrot can be had for minus 140. Moving up, main event of the night, Erin Blanchfield versus Macy Barber. Erin Blanchfield, more of a boxer, wrestler, very stiff on the feet, but very, surprisingly effective when her game's working. If she has a size advantage over people, yeah, she's a nightmare. But, against Manon Fiorot, when her wrestling stopped working, she kind of just got overpowered. Her striking, it didn't live up. It didn't look that great. Well, one, she was fighting a southpaw, so her jab, which is Blanchfield's best weapon, was pretty much nullified because she doesn't know how to use it against a southpaw. And it was a taller girl, so anytime she tried to enter, she was just running into combinations. And the clinch wasn't working. She couldn't muscle her down, but she's very fucking strong when she actually can get her game going and the people start worrying about the strike and then she shoots. She's really talented on the ground. She's fighting Macy Barber. Macy Barber is very raw still. She's learning. You can tell she's getting better at her striking. Her striking used to be wing right hand, left hand. She had that alpha male striking from Team Alpha Male where wing a straight hand, wing a left hook, chin up in the air, feet fucking running. Just like pure aggression, pure offense. But she's really fun. She's probably one of the most fun female fighters to watch. And you've seen her skills have gotten a lot better. She's not so aggressive where she's putting herself into bad positions all the time. Now her pressure's a little bit more constant. And her cardio is great. She can still finish people in the third round even though she's putting out all this she fucking goes out there and she's swinging to hurt girls. But I will say, she's only gotten one TKO since, I think the last one was Jillian Robertson. And the only TKO since then has been against, what's her name? The cute one with the crazy voice, Amanda Ribas. But if you've watched this far, go back and watch that fight. So the ending sequence, Macy Barber head kicks Ribas and rocks her. She lands big punches and rocks her, but she doesn't knock her down. The knockdown comes when she rushes towards, when Barber rushes towards Ribas. Ribas ducks her head and they fucking headbutt big time. And that's actually what knocked Ribas down. You can go watch it. I'm not lying. It's the absolute truth. She head kicked her and she hit her with punches, but none of that knocked her down. What knocked her down was a headbutt. It's just a fact. So besides that, she hasn't actually gotten a knockout. So I don't know if her power is just not translating anymore, if maybe she's dropped a little bit of the, maybe a little bit of her mass or something, or just she's more focused on being a well-rounded fighter. But yeah, her knockout power hasn't been there. But I think she's going to beat Blanchfield. No, actually, I'm going to switch up my pick, and I don't even care. I'm going to go Erin Blanchfield. I think she's a better boxer than Macy Barber. I think her jab's better. I think Macy just gives up too much. Fuck. Actually, I'm switching. So you're getting the double switch. Macy Barber. I'm going to go Macy Barber by third round TKO. I think Blanchfield is going to gas herself trying to control Barber and trying to grapple. But I trust Macy Barber's newfound grappling defense. and I trust her ability to just land the more dangerous, harder strikes. And I think Blanchfield, if she gets rocked, I think the ref will be quick to step in because of how Macy Barber goes. Like, she like screams while she socks you out. So I'm going to trust Macy Barber to survive the grappling, not get submitted, not make silly mistakes, which is already rough. And then I'm going to trust her to get a 3rd round TKO. I think she's dangerous, and I think she's finally ready, even though she's still pretty young. But I'm going to go Macy Barber by 3rd round TKO. But she is the plus 140 underdog, and Erin Blanchfield is the minus 175 favorite. So I think Blanchfield is the smarter choice, but I just get this feeling that Barber is going to win. So I'm going to stick with her. And yeah, that's all we got for today, guys. I went way longer than I was planning on it. But all right. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, take care.